me tell you something.
Let's
You
get
already
fuck
know.
into it.
The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are. It will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it.
What's happening, InsideOutrz fam? Welcome to the InsideOutrz podcast with me, Danny Lloyd, the man that took the I out of addict and put the Y in you.
And it's the Lock Dog, the one, the only, former rock bottom resident, now the lifesaver.
Oh, do you taste as good as the lifesavers?
Better flavours.
Better flavors, eh? I like to savor the flavor. That's why I've got this flavor saver just here underneath my lip.
All right, so this podcast episode,
Correct.
you want to discuss with our listeners life proofing.
I definitely do. First of all, before we do that, I thought I'd better just say thanks to our sponsors before we move forward. Thanks to Mr. Daniel Smith and Killer Moe's South as Fuck, bringing all of the best merchandise that's basically a non-for-profit at this point, trying to generate money and income to help people that don't have money and income. And also our man Ryan Ferrari over in Bullhead, Arizona, who runs 5-Star Classified, where you can put anything you want up for 99 cents without the censorship. Thank you both for supporting the movement. Now you may continue, Lock Dog.
Yes, well, without further ado, let's talk about life proofing. What is it? You mentioned it to me earlier. I'm equally as curious as anyone that will be listening. What does it mean to life proof your life, and why is it important?
Okay, so if I was to want to record a song in a recording studio, I would go into a recording booth, and for that recording to be effective and come across as high quality, the recording booth would need to be soundproofed, protecting the sound from getting out, so inside can be quality delivery. It is no different metaphorically with life, because life is going to catch you on the blind side all the time. And so you need to be life proofed so it doesn't get outside of you from you living from it on the inside. So life proofing for me is understanding that there is one word in the dictionary that should not exist. Do you know what that word is?
No, I don't.
The word fair. There is no such thing as fair. There is life, and that's it.
Okay.
People going on about that's not fair, that's unfair, whatever, really need to get rid of that word out of their diction, because there's no such thing as fair or unfair. There is just life. And so as such, it is very important to move through the hours, days, weeks, months, years, and decades in our life that we are armed and equipped with the right recording booth of tools so that we can be life-proofed from what we get given to deal with on a day-to-day basis, because life is always happening around us, and we can either choose to say it's happening to us or through us.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so from what I'm taking away from that is kind of that analogy of life's happening for you, not to you. So it is, correct me if I'm wrong, being more prepared when life feels like it's happening to you.
Yeah, that's correct. being able to see that every opportunity has been cleverly disguised by life as a problem. We just need to change the lens, and from that we need to be able to change the language, which will in turn change our life.
That actually aligns with a really great quote I've got here with me in front of my face.
Exactly. If you are not failing, you are not growing. And I think that at this point, right now in this current 2023 year that we are living in, I think too many people have been sold wolf tickets that life is always going to be amazing and great, and all these influencers show this one side of life, that it's just always doing all of the amazing things, to the point even, even our young generation are being given medals and awards for finishing 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th in a race, instead of understanding, no, you lost, right? You lost. It's okay to lose, but next time do better. You lost. You didn't get congratulated because you participated, because that's ridiculous. You lost, and that's how you learn to win. And the problem is that everybody's too scared to even try and then lose. So how are they ever going to learn to win?
Speaking of like some of the problems that people face, what are some of the most common challenges you see people face and go through? And how can people probably best prepare and mitigate that?
I think some of the biggest problems people are facing right now is a distinct lack of honesty with themselves. I don't think anybody wants to tell the truth to themselves anymore about where their life's really at, and instead they would like to continue to pretend they're where they want to be and never actually get there, and then complain they're not there because they haven't done anything to get there. I think too many people also are suffering a great deal of anxiety and darkness in their lives because they do nothing but either look back behind them and at the past, where nothing happens, by the way. Just nothing happens in the past. It's already done. You can sit there and talk about it all you want. It's done. You can't change it. You can only grow from it by looking at what happened in it. And then the other issue that people have is that they focus on the future in relation to thinking they know what's going to happen, like they've got a crystal ball, or that they're some sort of psychic with their moon rocks. And you have no idea what could happen. I don't even know what could happen when I walk out of this podcast studio in an hour. And I think the biggest tool anybody could learn right now is to be present and self-aware. I mean, if you can predict ahead, go and buy some fucking stocks or crypto or something then, because you'll be a millionaire. Pretty sure you can't predict ahead. So I don't know why you're trying to do it with your life if you can't do it with actual asset classes and market movements.
Market movements. So when you say market movements, do you mean, like financial stability and security?
Pretty much. Like, here's one of the biggest life hacks anyone right now could do that would change their mental health in a matter of a couple of weeks once detoxing off of this one thing that the majority of us are guilty of. And this is linking to your question about markets and obviously the current climate we're in, and, the free fall of, we're in a recession and all the money. We've been here before. get over it. We've been here before. We've survived it before. We'll survive it again. But this is how you can avoid being sucked into the vacuum of negativity and freefall. Stop watching the news. Stop feeding into the media and their representation attacking your cognitive bias around wanting to be negative and feed you fear. And this isn't some tinfoil hat wearing statement like I'm some sort of COVID warrior. This is actually just the truth. Like some of the most prominent speakers on the planet who still pay their taxes, by the way, and all of the normal things will tell you, if you want to change the way that you have relationship around anxiety and being present, stop looking at the news bulletins on TV, stop reading the news on your phone, your apps, and even on social media channels, you know, where the news and all the things are. Stop looking at newspapers, if people still even do that. I think that's still a thing, newspapers. And just unplug from mainstream society. Like, I don't watch news, but I still know what's going on in the world. But I don't let what's going on in the world live inside of me. I'm an investor. I've put money into different things where, within reason, I need to know what's happening in the world for that. But it may be all of about 5 minutes a week of just dipping my little pinky toe into the media mainstream. Oh, you like that? See? Yeah, I like that.
I've seen that, yeah.
Just to be aware of my investments. And then that's it. And the only other time I actually put any time into anything that's media driven is for our News of the Week thing, which is just normally a bit of fun. So the number one hack right now that anyone could do, and you can do it, you don't need to invest money. You don't need to get a coach or go to a mental health service, go and see a site. You don't need to do any of that. And you will find that difficult for the first couple of weeks when you do it, because it's like anything that's addictive. It takes a little bit of time to detoxify from the repeated behavior pattern of constantly looking at news channels like CNN, which is constant negative news, as Les Brown has said before to me. Well, not personally to me, I wish that was the case, but what I've listened to with him. That is the first thing, if you want to talk about life proofing, that I would do, is I would unplug from listening to the news at all. And the second thing I would then replace that with, because you'll need a replacement, kind of like, heroin. Get off heroin, go to methadone. Doesn't have to be stand-up. It can be a sitcom. It doesn't matter. I would, to be honest, more like to push people away from watching TV at all. But that's not for everyone, right? So I'm not going to sit there and bang that drum. But unplug from mainstream media and plug into funny and comedic things that make you genuinely laugh or smile more. Don't worry about your antidepressants. Just do that for a month and you watch how quick your relationship with yourself and your feelings change.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense. Like I don't watch the news often, maybe once a month, which is just out of sheer boredom. But, like one thing I've noticed is, you're right, it is very negatively driven. That's 99% negative, maybe 1% positive on a good day.
Yeah.
But last month's news is this month's news, and it would be next month's news.
Yeah.
It's always the same.
Correct. It's just different characters playing the same roles, whether it be global affairs, corrupt politicians, who's starting what war next, who's warring with who, what financial crisis are we in this week, how bad have the markets crashed, or what ridiculous media influencer or actress or actor do we now spend our whole week talking about for a week?
So we touched briefly on finances, financial things like the markets. Do you have any practical steps people could implement to maybe have better financial stability in their life?
Yep. I would, to get better financial stability in your life, I would stop thinking automatically that buying shiny things and things all the time are going to make you happy. The risk, the reward payoff is nothing, like versus what your expenditure is on it versus what you're then left with after it to try and survive on, because you thought that this temporary shiny gadget or whatever it is was going to bring you. So you either need something or you want something. I need to go and get my food shopping each week because basic nature says I need to eat. I want to buy, a new car, but I don't need it. I can still keep driving Wender, that bag of shit car of mine, because I don't have the financials realistically to buy a new car. I could, and then I'd have no money left. But I need to eat, so I'll buy the food. So I think you need to ask yourself a question every time if you don't have free-flowing incomes at the moment, I would look at things in your life. For instance, if you like to have a few drinks or you smoke cigarettes, let's just say, or you're smoking weed, whatever. Figure out what you spend on that a week. Let's say you're spending $100 a week on alcohol, right? And then divert 50% of that into a savings account or into like a little easy investment app like Raiz, R-A-I-Z, right? And then you can just keep putting money in every week into a savings account that's actually going to start paying you some money back. And think about it like this way. The Richest Man in Babylon book that I read, he basically talks about it all the time, about always saving or investing 1/10 of what you earn each week or fortnight or month, however you be paid. So I'm pretty sure everyone could find a way of taking 1/10 of their salary and putting it aside for the future, right? And asking yourself every time you go to spend on something that realistically is just material, thinking that it's going to make you happy. And ask yourself, do I need that or do I want it? And I think most of the time you'll find you just want it. So then, versus my goal is I'd like to go overseas on holiday this year, or, I'm looking to buy a house, or I want to make investments, whatever it is, even if it's like some personal development, self-development, or education that you want to do, that's going to pay off and make you much more happier than spending it on the latest iPhone or whatever. And think about it, like the latest iPhone, what's it now, like $2,000 or something? Or $2,000 diverted into, even if it's just basic investing. But you need to think to yourself, if you're not flush for cash, how do I make the stress from that easier? Well, think about things before you spend it. Stop being stuck in a pattern of going, I feel shit today, so I'm just going to go and blow $50 on a bottle of vodka. Yeah, or maybe divert, like half of that a month and go and get a gym membership or yoga, or I don't know, whatever you're into. All you got to do is switch out the things that aren't serving you. So financially, you just need to do a bit of an audit. You don't have to start making big Excel spreadsheets and doing like that, like the rubbish you see on Instagram and going, don't get that coffee every day and then you'll be a millionaire. That's a load of rubbish. Have a coffee. Spend $6 and have a coffee. It's a treat. But $60 on a bottle of vodka and all the mixers or cigarettes or weed or whatever that may be, if you're using those substances a majority of the time, it's to escape reality, which means there needs to be an inquiry made into why you're trying to escape your own reality, and divert that money to make your reality a place you want to live in.
Yeah. I'm thinking about that too, because like,
Massively, man. Like, the minute that you start investing in yourself, physically, mentally, or emotionally, you will have a massive return of investment, because it just feels good to have done something nice for you. It could be as simple for me as every 6 weeks. Well, I haven't done it so much since we moved here and started the business, because we've been a little bit cash poor on that side. So it became a need more than a must, you know. But back in Alice Springs, like, I used to go and get my feet done at the podiatrist once every 6 weeks. Do you know that $80 spent versus how I felt afterwards, where I actually felt like I was walking on a cloud? And it wasn't just that, it was like a vote towards my future self of going, I just did that for me. That felt good. That actually was for my physical health. Instead of destroying your physical health through substance, alcohol, cigarettes, gambling, sugar, cakes, all the rubbish. I mean, it's still okay to have a cake and whatever now and again, but that in itself gets into a bad pattern of addiction too.
Yeah, and touching on health, how do you think people can safeguard their physical and mental well-being or health?
So you have to start small. So, for instance, if you were wanting to safeguard or improve your physical health, and at this point you're not really doing anything at all, it could be as simple as saying, I want to... Well, first of all, you need to make it specific of why you're wanting to safeguard or improve your physical health. There has to be a driving factor. You can't just go, I'm going to go to the gym and lose weight. Yeah, but why are you doing that? That's just a throwaway line. That's not going to motivate you to actually achieve it. So then sit there and say, I'm unhappy or want to make sure I look after my physical health. Okay, cool. Why do you want to do that? I don't feel very comfortable in my skin and very comfortable around my partner. Cool. And what does that look like? Like, what do you want to achieve in addressing that problem? Well, I'd like to drop a size in the t-shirt I wear if I'm a bloke, or in the top I wear if I'm a woman. Okay, cool. And so how much weight would you like to lose to do that? And I would like to do, maybe over the next kind of couple of months, lose 4 or 5 kilos. Okay, perfect. Bang. So now you know to do that. You're doing it because of the way you feel, and you don't feel comfortable. You want to feel more comfortable in your skin. You want to make sure that you can fit in a smaller size t-shirt or top if you're a woman. And you want to lose 4 to 5 kilos to do that. Bang. All of a sudden, surprise, surprise, you're actually motivated because you've made a specific goal. Then on top of that, it's like, okay, then at this point, how do I do that? Well, I'm not a big gym person. I don't know if I want to go to the gym, but I do like to walk, and maybe I could do some yoga, whatever. Okay, cool. So go and walk I'm going to go and walk, say 4 days a week. Okay, how long are you going to walk for though? What's the aim? Steps a day or whatever. 10,000 steps a day. Okay, perfect. So get the app. It's not a big deal. And then you got 10,000 steps a day, and you just check the app when towards 4 or 5 p.m. and you've got the 10,000 steps, or you haven't. But it starts as simple as this. Just making sure that you put the trainers by the front door. And it may just be you get up before work and you get down there and you chuck the trainers on and you go, I can't be bothered. It doesn't matter. You've already made the first step. Just make the first step. Everyone overwhelms themselves, like, I'm going to go to the gym 7 days a week and all this. Stop it now. Just get to the gym. That's an achievement. People are always trying to reinvent the wheel. Just little steps, brick by brick, right? You've got to want to safeguard your health or improve it, right? One of the biggest things I've learned over the decades of battling my body and ridiculous carry-ons of nutrition and lack of and all the rubbish. If you want to drop weight, let's say you're overweight and you want to drop weight, the first thing you can do without doing anything to your diet or going and doing exercise is drinking 4 liters of water a day. You do that for the first 3 or 4 weeks consistently, you'll lose about 4 kilos in weight. Water weight, it's called. And people go, I can't drink water. Nah, but you can drink a whole bottle of wine. Seem to find that very easy, don't you? You can drink 4 to 6 bottles of beer on the spot in 2 hours, but you can't drink 3 liters, 4 liters of water a day, which is the one thing our body's made up most of. I could sit here and explain how do you safeguard your health, but the simple fact is people need to want to do that first. So you need to change your relationship with your health before you can change your physical health. Most people, typical human being behavior, wait until some massive crisis happens and then they fix it. So it's a difficult question to answer.
It's that burning question, isn't it? Like, why is that important to you?
Correct.
And if all you got is an ego-driven answer, like, I want to look good on the beach.
Yep.
It's not really important, is it?
No.
You got to be able to go, well, why is that important to me? Because I value my health.
Yep.
Now it's a bit clearer.
Plus, it's got to be up in your high values.
Yeah.
So, like, my grandmother drilled into me from a young age that if you haven't got your health, you've got nothing. She said you can go and get all your money you want, all the nice shiny things, the house and all that, right? She said it means nothing without your health, and that was driven into me from a young age. Thank God. And even though I've battled my health a lot because I was grossly overweight and then I lost the weight and then I didn't know how to keep the weight off because of all the whatever. It's a very high value for me. So you won't catch me not doing something every day. I'm not Brad Pitt or anyone like that. I don't have a 6-pack. I'm not exactly solid completely around the midriff, but I'd like to think at 40 I'm pretty fit. And if the knees would just follow suit, I'll run rings around anyone because I enjoy the feeling of doing things that make me feel fit, especially the endorphins that get released after it. Problem is, if you don't value your health, which I don't understand how anyone doesn't have that as a high value, but most people don't. You just have to look around at society. If they had a high value, all you have to do, right? Don't listen to what people say. Just watch what they do. Anyone that says to you, I want to lose weight, and then is sitting there and eating a glazed donut, they don't want to lose weight. They want to tell you they want to tell you that they want to lose weight. Just watch what they do. Don't listen to what they say. It's very easy to know what people's values are. Just watch what they do.
Yeah, you're right. It gives me a bit to think about, and I'm sure it gives everyone else a bit to think about. But I want to keep moving through this because I am still curious on life proofing.
Yep.
And all that it entails. What role does technology play in life proofing? Can it be beneficial in any way as well as negative?
So I've learned this week that in the last couple of weeks that technology has definitely got a part to play in helping us with life proofing in different ways, especially how we're overloaded these days with so many things to do. And in the last couple of weeks, at 40 years old, I've finally lent into technology, in the last year or so, after telling myself this story for so long that I couldn't do tech, as you've heard many times, until the last year. And I started using Google Calendar to put all of my appointments and stuff and things in so that I could be more organized for this business that we run. And so you weren't having to just be told at the last minute, oh, don't you remember that we were doing that, Lockdog? And you're like, no, I fucking don't. I'm not you.
Yeah, you told me 4 weeks ago. Of course, I don't remember.
Yeah. What I've found by using this technology, very simple technology, it's not a big deal using Google Calendar. What I found using that is that my brain is so much more freer and I feel so much calmer now by just using that one simple piece of technology to help with life. So I think technology does have a part to play with helping you in certain areas of life proofing. However, just like anything, using anything in excess will cause issues. So you want to help yourself and feel more life-proofed. You need to be extremely aware of your usage of your mobile phone, social media especially. Be very, very careful about being on Facebook and Instagram too much, because it will create a comparative narrative all the time in your brain, which yet again, here we're back to the beginning, living in the past, looking into the future. And here's a simple hack for you. If you watch your social media a fair bit and you know that there's people that you look at that trigger you, they're doing whatever they're doing, and whether they're doing well and succeeding, and that's okay for them, you don't, for some reason, it doesn't make you feel good. Makes you think, oh, why aren't I there? Makes you ruminate, makes you feel overwhelmed because of someone else's success. You have this toxic positivity, right? You're cheering them on like you're really happy for them, and you deep down you're not happy. You're pissed off that they're doing well. It's okay, by the way. So many of us have that. Simple hack. You don't have to defriend them. You just go on their account and you unfollow them so you don't have to see their shit come up on your timeline anymore. Problem solved. Trigger gone. You can feel a tiny little bit less anxious about the fact you're not where you think you should be because you keep living in the past and the future.
Yeah. So it does have its benefits, especially for being organised and prepared. It's just watching that trap of the death scroll and the comparative narratives.
Same as what we just talked about with when you're feeling bad and self-destructive behaviours with alcohol, drugs, whatever. Same with social media, right? That's a trauma response. The minute that you can't sit in silence with yourself, just staring into thin air, and you just have to keep picking your phone up just to fill the empty space and scrolling, that's a trauma response. You literally can't be still. You have to find something to keep stimulating yourself. This here is no different to me sniffing a line of cocaine. It's the truth.
Yeah.
Every time I have to pick that up and keep sniffing my line of social media to make me feel something, put it down and just sit there and feel the feeling anyway.
Yeah, it's funny. I feel like I had this conversation recently, and it might have been with you, around the same people that say they never have enough time can find the time for meaningless things like the death scroll.
Yep.
And mundane activities that bring
100%.
no meaning to their life. But as soon as it's, why don't you try this goal?
Yep.
Or I would love to work on my health and align with my values, but I just don't have the time.
Yeah, okay.
But you've got 2 hours every evening to scroll on Facebook or Instagram or something.
Yeah, well, you've got that thing on there, right, where well, first of all, on the mobile phones, they've got a screen lock.
Yeah.
So you can say, I'm only allowing 15 minutes a day of social media. So once you've done it, it locks you out. I mean, you can just go and unlock it if you really want to, which defeats the point, but it gives you an idea at least. If you really want to see how long you're wasting every day on social media, you can go and actually look at the screen times. Go onto your mobile phone to screen time, and it will show you on each app how much you've actually spent on it. Then once you've looked at that, honestly try and look someone in the face seriously again and tell them you don't have the time to do what you actually want to do with your life. Like Jordan Peterson said, if your life isn't where it could be, start telling the truth.
That's one of my favourite sayings from Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, he's a clever man.
Yeah, my phone sends me a report every day, and then a weekly report to compare last week's versus this week's. And if I'm honest, I'd definitely get caught in a scroll.
Yeah, but I mean, don't despair. Like people shouldn't despair. Like, you can't change habits overnight that have been built up over years, right? All this episode is to do is for people to be able to have a listen and be able to reflect and think about their own situation and where they're at with things and go, well, where could I make some improvements? And then be kind to yourself and realize it takes time to make those improvements, and just take the little wins as they come, day by day, brick by brick.
Yeah. So, speaking about goals, it takes me to the next question. How can individuals create a healthy work-life balance and avoid burnout while still pursuing their goals and ambitions?
Okay. How can you get a healthy work-life balance? That's very difficult these days, dependent on your circumstance. I think it's just about understanding what it is that you want out of your life and what your values are, which then can align to what your balance is. It should always be looked at as a healthy life-work balance, like dependent on the person, but every single person is going to be different. Looking at that, using me versus you even would be completely different. I'm a fucking head case. I just don't stop. And that's just because I'm just wired differently to you, and you'd be wired differently to someone else. So it depends on the person. But I think at the end of the day, if you are honest and you look at yourself and go, well, if I'm working on my job or my business, whatever, over 60% or more of the week as a whole pie chart, probably need to have a look at yourself a little bit, which I'll be one of the people guilty of that. But then I don't have a family, I don't have a partner, and I'm very highly driven at the moment. And hey, maybe I'm trying to prove a point because of some past shit that I haven't resolved. I've heard that a lot. A lot of people that work or have highly driven, focused goals and just are always at it, the successful people that already have made it in that same template, such as your Stephen Bartlett's from Diary CEO and many others, will tell you that they did it when looking back now because they were driven by trauma-based responses to try and prove people wrong, or just to prove to people they were worth something because they didn't have good self-worth, which could be partly why I just want to help everyone all the time, and maybe I don't put myself first enough. It's very hard to find a work-life balance or give someone, I guess, the recipe, because everybody's cooking a different cake, right? So it's pretty easy to know when you're burnt out, though. If you're unable to be present with people when you're talking, and you're unable to focus much, and your emotional regulation's all over the place, that means you're burnt out, which guaranteed means your work-life balance is work-life, not life-work.
Yeah, and especially if you're someone that is finding yourself more tired than usual, and sick days are becoming more and more with work, and there's some really big signs there.
So I would say that, and then I would also say, if you are someone that works quite a lot, say for instance an entrepreneur, startup company, you've been in it a couple of years, or even you're highly driven in your career for your employer, I would make sure that you are getting a good 7 hours sleep a night. I would make sure you have a fixed bedtime, and I'd make sure you do your hour of power in the morning, so at least you're giving yourself some sort of self-care, right? So 9 p.m.-ish bedtime, up at 5 a.m.-ish, spend an hour doing something good for you. Read a book, do some strenuous exercise, get ahead from the day, and then when the rest of the day could play out up to 12 hours, at least you know at the start of the day you gave yourself that, right? Those are simple things to get a work-life balance, is make sure you go to bed at the same time every night and it's early. People go, oh yeah, but I like to stay up late. To do what? watch TV and scroll on bullshit.
Yeah.
How's about you should like to go to bed early so you can have the whole day ahead of everybody else? Yet again, that's a mindset change you need to want to do. But I'll tell you now, I used to be the same. And in the last in fact, you've taught me that over the years of living with you. I've slowly got earlier and earlier to bed over the years of living with you. It took me ages you've always been an early to bed kind of person because you like to get up early. And it's definitely, I see the benefit now. But it doesn't bother me. I don't sit there now and go, oh yeah, but I want to stay up late. Like I'm like, no, I'm good. I like getting up at 5 a.m. now and having basically 2 hours to myself that I didn't have before. And then the whole day can play out until stupid o'clock. I'm good. I've done my gym. I've read my book. I've done my meditation or whatever it is I've decided to do.
Yeah, exactly. What is it? What are you trying to catch in the middle of the night? Nothing.
Nothing.
There's absolutely nothing there.
Unless you're sitting there and telling me, that you're reading a book or you're writing a book or you're making some music, whatever. If you're being creative or you're doing something constructive that helps your mental or spiritual or emotional health and you're staying up late, well, that's fine. But I can tell you now, 90% of the people that stay up late aren't doing that. They're watching fucking Netflix, television. And yet again, horses for courses. So if that's what you like to do, fair play to you. But don't sit there and complain your life could be better then.
Yeah. And, balance is a super important part of this podcast too and all the episodes we do.
Yeah.
And we normally balance it with the news of the week. So I think we should get into that.
A bit of news of the week. I'm down with a bit of that. Perla.
Read all about it. It's the news of the week.
Yes, it certainly is. And this one is, as always, interesting.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. As fertilizer prices soar, Japan returns to a cheap alternative made from human waste.
That's already terrible.
Cheap, recycled, and bearing centuries of tradition, Shimagol, or fertilizer from a person's bottom, has found new favour in Japan as Russia's invasion of Ukraine has raised the prices of chemical alternatives. Enthusiasm was limited to using human poo until Russia's invasion of Ukraine sent the cost of chemical fertilizers soaring. For the first time since the city began producing the fertilizer in 2010, Japan's Tomei has sold out. Human poo. Made of a combination of treated sewage and sludge from septic tanks and human waste from cesspits, the fertilizer sells for 160 yen for 15 kilograms, which is about $1.66. It's about the tenth of the price of the products made from imported raw materials. Now, we were just talking before about how do we save money and, all of the things and financial things. So apparently, don't worry about fertilizer. Just go and take a shot in your garden.
All right.
The fertilizer is particularly good for leaf vegetables like cabbage. I find that ironic because actually cabbage smells like shite when you kind of cook it up.
Shit cabbage.
Yeah. There are complaints about the smell. Funny that, eh? Who would have thought human shite would smell lathered all over your cabbage patch?
It's the worst. I think it's the worst smelling feces from any animal on the planet.
Yeah. Even though we produce safe food, says this bloke, I imagine that for those who don't know much about it, the impressions people have of fertilizer made from human feces might not be good. Yeah, no shit.
Well, I'm glad I don't have a garden.
Pull your fucking head in, bruv.
I think they need to do more than pull their head in. That's news of the week.
Yep, thank you. That was definitely a shit break. All right, so we only got a couple more questions to go, and these ones will be super relatable to you with your transition and relocation recently. How can individuals navigate through major life transitions, such as career changes, moving to a new city, or starting a family?
So I would say this first off the bat, there is no easy way round huge life events happening. So first of all, you have to understand whatever you're undertaking in a major event, whether it be, I think, isn't that the top two most stressful things in the world? Moving house and having children? Is that right? And getting married? Is that the three?
I'm not sure, but I would assume it is.
So nothing, yet again, this is all about living in the present moment. This all goes back to the same principle, actually. If you're going to move to another place, change career or have a child or get a divorce, whatever it may be, you move to Adelaide, accept that, be inside of that and be present with that right now. It doesn't matter what you did in Alice Springs. As I've found out, even being down here, I thought all the things we achieved up there counted for something. It means absolutely nothing in Adelaide. No one gives a shit. Literally, no one cares. So if you're navigating a huge shift in life, make sure that you arm yourself as things go through with this one statement while you're transitioning and dealing with the change. Always say to yourself on the difficult days, the challenging days, not why is this happening to me, but what is this teaching me? I look back at the last 2 years next month, 2 years next month of moving from Alice to Adelaide, and it has been beyond aggressive and beyond life-changing, and has brought me into somebody I didn't even think I'd ever meet in my life as myself. And that has come from having to go through a lot of low points to scale the mountain of certainty and now be able to look out over this peak. It's only a peak, by the way. I ain't scaled to the top, because when I get to the top, that's when life ends. But this one means I've got a nice view of this particular level of my life. But when you are undertaking something like becoming a new parent, you just need to choose your hard. It's going to be difficult. The whole point of life is it's meant to be difficult. That's how you grow. If things are always easy, then you're not doing anything for growth. You're just stagnating like some stinking pond that hasn't had the water moved on it for weeks with mosquitoes riddled around it. And the description itself just depicts how rank that would be. So metaphorically, that's how rank your life is if you are just sitting in a comfort zone and being comfortable, not being uncomfortable. That's rubbish. So understand when you take on a big new challenge in life, it's 95% mindset and 5% strategy. So being able to prep yourself and tell yourself, what I'm about to go through now is going to be difficult, but if it's hard, do it hard. Choose your hard, right? And this is what I've actually done a lot in my life with so many things is I look beyond it. So I'll say to myself, like when we moved down here from Alice Springs, I looked 18 months. I actually remember saying this to you. I looked 18 months past our moving date, which is around about a couple of months back. It would have been 18 months. So whatever you've got, let's say you're becoming a parent. look past the birth of your child 18 months, where you will have at that point become a pretty competent parent within reason, right? Like fair. I've not had a baby onwards. Like you would be able to help me on this, right? Would you say about that 18-month mark, you at least feel like you kind of have a base level, like you've got like a Cert 3?
Yeah. And it's because, like any transition or getting into anything uncomfortable, there's always that period where it seems a bit overwhelming, uncomfortable, until you get used to it. And that's all it is. In 18 months, you're used to it. Yeah. It's familiar.
Exactly.
You do it day in and day out, and it's as if you've done it your whole life.
Correct. So whatever you're undertaking, look past it 18 months and say to yourself, okay, this is going to be really hard. This is going to be overwhelming. But if I just look past it over there and know I'm not going to die from it, everything's going to be fine, just like it has. And when I get there, which I will, it'll all make sense. Secondly, contrasting. Whenever you're going through a big life-changing experience, like I contrast everything with getting off of crystal meth. Everything that I go through now is contrasted with that. So whatever it is that's happening during that period of transition that's overwhelming you, there'll be something in your life that's been a lot worse than dealing with that, which you then contrast with it and go, oh, this is rubbish. I don't know what's going on. Let's say 7-8 months into being here, we're trying to make this business work. We don't have a clue what we're doing. It's all free fall. And I'd have nights and days where I was full questioning the very fiber of my fabric. And then I'd sit and go, yeah, but this can't be any worse than being addicted to crystal meth. Like, is this even close? No. So then I'll be fine. I'll survive. I won't die from it. So contrasting, picking the worst time of your life and using that to contrast any concurrent life challenge you have that you may find difficult, but it's not going to be as worse as what you lived through when you contrast it back to there.
It also sounds like in there's a lot of change in language and questions.
100%. You need to be very aware of your language all the time. So one of my best friends back home in Guernsey that I grew up with, Sean Ruxell, he will be the first person to be able to tell you when I say this statement that he heard this statement 1,000 times and he lives by this statement now whenever he goes through stuff. I never say I've had a bad day. I never say whatever. I always say this one thing. I had a character building day. If you think you've had a bad day, like that, there's no such thing as a bad day. And if you think there is, try missing one. Change your language, you change your life. So whatever it is that may be happening for you right now, look at it as it's happening for you and be very aware of your language. That was a shit day. No, that was a character building day. That today built my character. So tomorrow I'm going to be a bigger, better person for it, right? That person's an arsehole. That person has clearly got a lot of personal problems, and I feel sad that they thought they could take that out on me. I'm not going to take that in. That's not my issue. That's their issue, right? Here's another one. I can't afford that. How can I afford that? It's pretty simple. Just take all of those negative binding words and just replace them, right? I can't afford to buy a new car. How can I afford to buy a new car? Even the feel of it, feel the difference?
It does feel different. It's that solution-focused thinking.
So just catch yourself, right? Even when you're talking negative about yourself, just catch yourself.
Yeah.
So that's what I would pass over for a major life event is prepare yourself in the mind, have a few little things up your sleeve, like looking ahead 18 months.
Yeah.
And contrasting when it is hard with something that's been harder that you beat and got through and you didn't die from.
Yeah. And, sometimes we forget that we're always transitioning, and we will always transition whether we like it or not. It'll happen with or without our awareness.
Correct.
And with or without our input.
Correct.
No, that's very interesting. So, but before we wrap this up, let's just pretend for a minute I want to start life-proofing my life. What are a few practical tips you would give me to get started?
All right. So I would suggest, first of all, to start life-proofing anybody, no matter their age. And I've told you this many a time. Get a mentor. And you don't need to pay for them. A lot of people that are in a position that you would like to be in would be very flattered if you would just ask them for some time of theirs to be mentored by them. You don't need to pay people for that. Everyone's got an ego and they love to have it spoken to sometimes, right? Yeah. So the first thing I would do was, you got to understand, right? Success leaves clues, right? So if you're wanting to be wherever you want to be, say in 10 years, whether it be in building a business, building a family, being a better father, a better partner, having a better body, whatever. There'll be people in your life that you look up to or aspire to want to be, or that you want what they've got. Right? Would you agree?
Absolutely, yeah.
So go and speak to those people or that person and ask them if they would mentor you. You don't need to be in your teens and 20s to do this. I'm 40. I've still got mentors everywhere. I ask people up front. I've just done it today with a lady I've only just met a few weeks back who has a very successful business of coaching individuals in NLP and hypnotherapy, and generally helping them live a better life. She's a trainer. She's very much like our mentor, Reg. She's in Adelaide. And I've literally just asked her today if I could shadow her one day in the future and just see how she runs her business from the inside out, so that I can see more about what we need to do. That doesn't mean I'm going to be seeing her all the time, but that's mentoring. It doesn't have to be some sort of longevity thing. But there's people out there that are already succeeding or successful in doing whatever it is that you want to do. So go and get a mentor. That is your first and foremost thing to do. Young or old, find what you want to do. Find what makes you happy and go and do that. And then to do that and to get good at that and to achieve that, get a mentor to achieve it. So that'll be the first two things. Find what it is that makes you happy and go and do that. Secondly, find people that have already done that and ask them to mentor you to understand how to do that, so then you can be happy. Thirdly, change your language and you'll change your life. Be aware and start bringing your awareness into how you talk to yourself. Not just outwardly, but in your own head. Could be simple things, like forgetting an appointment and saying, you're a fucking idiot. No, that's not. Would you speak to your mother like that? Would you speak to your son or your daughter like that? Would you speak to your friend like that? No, you wouldn't. So why in God's name would you speak to yourself like that? That is constantly putting a vote against your future self for growth, right? So change your language. That's the next one. Another one to life-proof is try and find something every day that moves your body. Yeah, and I'm not talking about needing to go to the gym every day or even running, but go for a walk, get on a push bike. Even if it's just walking to the shops and back to get your milk or whatever, just move, do something every day and walk. And the other thing I would do is, and I've said this already, set a time every night for bed and go to bed on that time every single night. It gets your circadian rhythm in flow state. Your circadian rhythm runs your shit, runs your body, man. So pick a time, say 9:30, and go, right, non-negotiable. Use your Google Calendar, put it in at 10 to 9 to flash up for a reminder that it's bedtime soon. and go to bed and get sleep is the most important tool to proof your life. Decent REM sleep is so vitally important. Drink your water, get some decent sleep, find what makes you happy and go do that. Find a mentor that helps you understand how to do that, and be smarter with the way you talk to yourself.
Incredible. Free advice.
And by the way, all of those things are free too.
Yeah.
All of those things are completely free.
Free advice and free to action.
Correct.
Incredible.
And those are all basic things that I've done over my life to be at a point now at 40 where I'd like to say that I'm quite a successful person as a human. We're not at the point yet as a business to call ourselves successful, but I think as business owners, I feel we're very successful in what we've achieved in a short period of time with no help. And when I say no help, I mean, sorry, that's wrong. We've had plenty of help from good people. We've had no financial help, investments, and all of the things that businesses normally need. We've made that shit happen by miracle. But we've been very blessed to have people. But I'd like to think
I will disagree and say our business is successful because a successful business is a business meeting its mission.
That's true.
And I think every day we show up and we abide by the mission and we meet the mission.
Yep.
We serve others. We give more value than we get.
Yep, that's very true.
I feel very successful in a successful business.
Yep. And so these are the things, and I think what I've just said to you there, you do that too. Those few things, pretty much most of those you do on a mainly consistent basis, and you feel successful. So those are free things you can do. Like those 5 things are free. You don't have to spend any money on them. And if you were to action even one of those consistently and then build on top of them, you will be life proofed, or you will be starting to proof your life from life attacking you on the blind side, which it will every day. So get used to it and honestly get fair out of your addiction now, because there's no such thing.
We've ended with the same statements as the beginning. That's good. All right, so as we wrap this up, I like to leave it with a bit of a quote.
Yep.
And the quote's going to be about resilience.
Okay.
Resilience is the fire within that turns adversity into fuel, transforms setbacks into comebacks, and molds stumbling blocks into stepping stones on the path to success.
Wow. What is this, yours, or where did that one come from?
It's mine.
I like that. I like that very much indeed. Well, there's plenty, I think, from this episode. I've really enjoyed this. I feel like we've given high value for people to action things that are well within their reach. So just remember, if you're suffering, struggling, or sitting in the silence of depression, anxiety, or mental health, there's plenty of people out there these days that are able to help you with that and improve your mental fitness, address your addictions, and improve your emotional intelligence around the things you're suffering with. We are one of those groups of people at Inside Out Coaching and Consultancy Collective. And so reach out to us or others, because it's not weak to speak. And also, we want to continue to provide huge and massive value to the community and to our community and the Inside Out family that we have. And so in order for us to do that, you can do a very, very simple thing for us. And you can hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button, and share and tell other people to come and join us in this community of safety to learn how they can life-proof their lives. Thanks to our sponsors, Killer Moe's and 5-Star Classified. We appreciate you, and thanks to all of our listeners and all of our Inside Outers fam, and thanks most importantly to the star of the show, Lock Dog.
The Lock Dog. All right, that's all from me. Lock Dog over and out.
And that's all from me. We'll catch you next time.
You, me, nobody is gonna get as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how
See you
winning
next
is
time
done.
for the Inside Outers podcast.